Hello and welcome to Apex Instant Tips, brought to you most Fridays at 12:05 Eastern Time. We're your hosts. I'm Anton, and that's Marwa. But Marwa's
Yes,
having a
I'm
difficult
Marwa.
time. Are you on, Marwa?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm really
Okay,
sorry.
no problem. Marwa's having a tough time with her internet connection these days, or today anyway. So we're going to be in and out. This is Marwa's tip, but because of her internet connection issues, I'm going to do my best to give this tip, and stick around because I have a great joke to tell after. So this tip is about shortcuts and Apex actions. We did another tip at Apex episode number 94 that also focused on shortcuts. There's more to say about Apex actions than just shortcuts. And Philip, and I'm blanking on Philip's last name, I should have his blog post. He does a great blog post on Apex actions in general, and they're a way to invoke shared JavaScript code. But for me, the most common scenario where I'm going to use an Apex action is always with a keyboard shortcut. That's the scenario that I think is most compelling. Philip has a different take on it. He thinks that you might want to use Apex actions in a lot of other ways. I can see it. I'm not convinced, but I do like them when it comes to shortcuts. And one of the things that we've done a lot recently is forms to Apex conversions. And forms users get really used to keyboard shortcuts, Control S, Control D, whatever the forms equivalents are for doing shortcuts. And so we want to give users the ability to not have to click buttons, not have to tab over to them, to be able to use shortcuts in the same manner. And so our goal was to give a method that anytime you have a save button on the page, you can kick off that save button by doing Control S. Anytime you have a delete button, you can do Control D throughout the whole application, and without having to do anything special. And so that's what we're going to show right now, and we'll talk a little bit about a couple of caveats as well. I'm behind. I haven't even put up my timer. I'll do that right now. While I'm doing that, Mark will probably share my screen. Let's see. And my timer there we go. All right, so we've got our timer. We'll kick this off straight away. Is that timer going? There we go. So I'll point out our episode 94, we talked about we did Control-Shift-I. So I did that. I just clicked Control-Shift-I on my keyboard, and you can see it brought up the help. That was episode 94. Now, if I make a change here, 13, and I do Control S, it saves the page. If I do Control D on here, it pops the message, and I can choose to delete there, and it deletes. So Control S and Control D is what I've added to this. Marwa, it looks like you're with us. Any comments? I guess that's no comment from Marwa. I'll give Marwa's comment. Marwa's comment is that it's a little bit tricky to make sure that when you do the Control D, that you get that message to pop. You want to make sure that you're getting the actual action of the button. Initially, my thought was I could just, as part of my JavaScript, I could just do apex.submit and submit with a delete. But I can't do that really because then I miss this message here. So we want to make sure that we're getting the full action of what it would be if we clicked on the button. So let's take a look. We need to do two things. The first thing we need to do is create a JavaScript, a static file that's JavaScript and that has some JavaScript in it. And then we're going to take this, and we'll come back to look at this JavaScript, but we're going to take this right here, this reference here, and in our application definition, I'm going to go here, edit application definition, we'll put that under user interface JavaScript file. And that means that this JavaScript will run, somewhere I have it, there it is, sorry. It will run for every page. So every page is going to run this JavaScript file. That means that I don't have to go into every page and add this. Any page that has a save button or a delete button is going to have this feature. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to set the focus to the page that got loaded most recently. If it's a modal page, this is important to make sure that that modal is the page that you're doing it on. Because if there's a parent page with a save button and a modal page with a save button, you want to be hitting the save button on the modal page, not on the parent page. So in this case, if this page had a save button and I opened this page, I would want this page's save button to be the one that gets clicked. So in here, that's my self.focus to make sure that it's this most recent one. And then what I'm doing is I'm checking to see, do I have a save button? And if I have a save button, that's this right here. I'm actually checking to make sure that that button exists. Then I'm going to add my Apex action. There's not much code here. I will ultimately put this on my blog, but there's not much code here. It's apexactions.add. I give it a name, a label. If you're doing more with this, if you're using this Apex action inside a button, the button will actually take on this label. But we're not doing it. We're doing this specifically for the shortcut. You can put the shortcut right inside the app, the add, and then here's my function. My function is preventing whatever the default Control S would have done. And then I'm not just doing this submit. I'm actually clicking the button. And that's important. Doesn't matter. In the case of my save button just does a submit on this particular page. But my delete button does more than that. So it's really important in the case of the delete button to do this. So in the case of the delete button, I check to see if the delete button exists. And then if it does, I add that action, that Control D. That means that these actions are only being added on pages that actually have the button. If the button's not there, it doesn't get added for that page. So I think that's it. Marwa, we have 34 seconds. Did I miss anything? Were you able to hear any of that?
Yes, I've heard most of it.
How'd I do?
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to hope I did well, as the rest of our viewers, our vast audience, is hoping that I got this right. I'm going to point out one small other thing. You can, so this is my page item help here. You can actually do one ad with multiples. This ad can actually accept an array. So I could, if I wanted to, pass in multiple of these as an array. I could do this, and if I wanted to do page help as well, I can do this and add in an additional, well, instead of page item help, I could just do page help and do the right things to get my page help. So that's just a little thing that saves you a little bit of code that you can pass in an array if you want. So I'm going to cancel that. That is today's tip. I will make sure that I get this shortcut JS file out. I'm going to leave it up and visible right there for just a minute so you can see it. It's important also to have this only run this after the page actually has loaded, because the full page has to get loaded in order to check to see if a button is on the page. Those kinds of things. Any use case not related to keyboard shortcuts? Yes, there are. So this is the use case. If you have JavaScript, in my mind, this is the most common use case. If you have JavaScript that you're going to want to use on multiple pages. So you have, even this, for example, you want it on multiple pages, but you don't want it on every page. You can simply do this without the shortcut. You don't need the shortcut. And then you can actually kick this off from a button. So the button, you'd use a data action of save. And if the data action of a button is save, it will actually run this JavaScript. And so it's a way to bundle up your JavaScript. I'm going to point you to Philip's blog on this. I was supposed to have Philip's blog in here, Philip Oracle Apex actions. Maybe I can just Google it. I think it was Philip, but maybe I'm wrong. Dynamic click. I think this is it. Yes, this is it right here. I think I'll put a link to his blog post as well on this. I will say, me personally, I'm most interested in this when it comes to shortcuts, but Philip does make an argument for the other scenarios that Fernando you're considering. Thank you, Paula, for your comment. Okay. All right. I promised a joke. So here's my joke. And Marwa, I don't know if you can hear me, but I was recently testing AI. I'll remove my screen. I'd given a prompt to an AI, and I told the AI, here's a list of tables, and you please respond with a select statement that answers the question. And so that was my prompt was to the AI, you're a SQL expert. Here's a list of tables. Please respond with a query that answers the question below. And you could ask a question and it would give a query, and my application would automatically run the query and give you the result. Very cool. But what I found out was, if I was a little tricky, I could ask the AI things like, tell me all the tables in my schema. And it would write a query to tell me all the schemas all the tables in my schema. So that it was outside the scope of the tables that I gave it, right? You see what I'm saying? Well, I don't. So then I added to the prompt. I said, you can only query from the tables that I've given you, right? So then you could. So then it was smarter. It wouldn't do things that were outside those tables. But I also wanted it to be able to just give a generic answer about these tables. So I said, you can also, do something like select from dual, where you can say, select, you're not allowed to ask this question from dual, right? So if they ask something they weren't allowed to, it would respond, select, you're not allowed to ask this question from dual. And I would respond, I would be able to give that answer. This is a big lead up to, I then said to the AI, after I thought, okay, I've locked this down, they can only ask questions that they should ask questions about. I said to the AI, okay, I said to the AI, please tell me a joke responding as a select from dual. Because I wanted it to realize it shouldn't do that, right? So I said, please tell me a joke responding as a select from dual. And I did trick it. It told me a joke. It gave me a joke that was select, single quote, and a joke from dual. So I'm going to give you the joke that, this is a long build-up to a silly joke, but this is the joke that the AI gave to me when I said, tell me a joke. That's all I said, tell me a joke. Why do Apex developers prefer dark mode?
This is the question or the joke
this
itself?
Is the joke. This is the joke. The joke. Why do Apex developers prefer dark mode? Anybody? No answers? Okay. I don't want to bore everybody. Ready? Because light attracts bugs. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So the AI was at least smart enough to know to give me a joke about the topic at hand. All right. So great tip, Marwa. Thanks for giving it today.
Thank you, Anton.
All right. Thanks, everyone. You've wasted a perfectly good 15 minutes with us today. Hopefully, we'll see you soon. I'm going to give a little teaser. Our episode 200 is coming up. Marwa, I hear we might have a special guest on episode 200. Have you heard about that?
Yes, we may have a special guest. Yes, I've heard about it. I'm
hoping
waiting
he has
for the
some big
episode 200.
announcements for us. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Oh, okay. I'm hoping this special guest, I'm not going to name him yet. I'm hoping he's going to have some big announcement for us during episode 200. All right, now I'm really going to let people go. Bye, everyone. Oh yeah, do all that stuff.